But does burying my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay, sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend, and neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections round me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does burying my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay, sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend, and neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections round me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does burying my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay, sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend, and neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections drown me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections drown me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. And you are getting it going. Welcome to Golden MetaSessions with doc.PEACE on KNSJ 89.1 FM. I'm your host, doc.PEACE, doctor of pharmacy by trade, public speaker, and business consultant. Golden MetaSessions is a time to celebrate creative expression, featuring NFT creatives who share their projects along with doses of inspiration on how they got started, plus tips and strategies on how to boldly, creatively express to empower you as you step into the metaverse. Today, we have an incredible guest with us, Mr. Jerah Cameron, a crypto goat OG that basically has a doctorate in the space. He's a lover of all living things, art, painting, music, NFTs, crypto, and education. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's dive right on in.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're so very welcome. Let's begin with your story, BC.
Where were you before crypto?
That's a great question to start with. Let's see. So I first bought Bitcoin in 2014, so a long time ago, and I bought it for kind of experimental reasons, just kind of figure out what it was about. I've been in IT for over 20 years, and I've been kind of in the Microsoft stack, so doing um, engineering and development on that side of things. And so, being in IT, I just kind of was immersed in all technology, really, right? And so, um, so I stumbled upon Bitcoin in kind of forums and learned about it really from there. And so the first time I played with it, it was, I think I was on the dark web, just kind of, doing dumb shit, figuring it out. And that's how I learned about it. But, after I bought a bunch and then I sold it in 2015, I didn't read the white paper at that point. I didn't like actually dive as deep as I should have back
Mm-hmm.
then. So yeah, I think I had about 200 to 300 Bitcoin at one point in between 2014 and 2015, and sold it all.
Wow.
So yeah, so yeah, it's quite a bit, but that's kind of before. That's BC, so 2014. Um, and here we are now. I
It's
came
been a
around.
minute.
It's been a minute, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yes. And in the crypto space or the NFT world, I'm realizing that time moves fairly quickly. So 7 years is like the equivalent of how long in the real world?
oh, it's like 50 years. It feels like, right? It's crazy. Yeah.
50
So
years, 50
yeah.
years of crypto NFT experience right here.
It's crazy. So true.
I love it.
It goes by fast. Yeah.
So you mentioned how you are very knowledgeable and in the tech space, right? How did
Yeah.
you leverage that knowledge in this NFT space? How did you pivot into this space using these gifts of yours?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. So I I'm an artist also, so it's becoming a really cool marriage of the two things I love, which is crypto and technology.
Yeah.
But I got into crypto heavily in like 2018, 2019. I just dove deep into that side of things from the tech side.
Mhm.
And then probably a year and a half ago, I really started diving into NFTs as well. And then it just really kind of took off in terms of um, seeing the potential of NFTs in art, in poetry, and in music, and all these different genres, and in things that we don't even know yet, like in the real estate world or the legal world. There's just so many things it's going to touch, and it hasn't even started yet. And so I think what really inspired me was the provenance of an NFT, right? Being able to have an artist, one, get kind of accolades for their art piece and have it, the history of it set in the chain forever, right?
Yes.
Immutable. So, like, that is amazing. And then all on top of that, I would say um, royalties is really cool for an artist. And so,
Mhm.
and kind of taking out the middleman of galleries in the sense that artists are going to be and already are um, getting their due, right? I feel like in the history of for fucking ever, um, excuse my language, the I feel like artists haven't really had that opportunity, and now we have the opportunity. And so all those things are really why I just am so passionate about NFTs.
Yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
gold, gold. And I love how you're touching on these benefits. I too have been told growing up that there is no money in art. And now is the time where artists are finally beginning to show confidently their work and consistently make money in the space. and it's an incredible time
Absolutely.
right now. So you
It
share some
is.
of the benefits that you've experienced within the NFT space. What was the biggest benefit that you received as you stepped into the NFT space a year and a half
I
ago?
would say, yeah, I would say I think the biggest benefit is what you just touched on in terms of like having that aha moment of, hey, I don't have to be a starving artist anymore, right? Like I can actually make art and sell it and pay rent
Yes.
and feed myself and feed my kids. And not only that, flourish, right? I feel like there are so many opportunities in the NFT space right now where it's an abundant field, right? There's just so much and so many different avenues. You just pick one and you'll have an abundance, right?
Let's get into that a little bit more, this
Yeah,
abundancy. I keep hearing this in the space quite a bit, and
yeah.
I believe it to be true, but I really want to dive deeper into what does this mean to when you say that there's so much abundancy in the NFT space. What tangible elements are you looking at to see this abundance?
That's a good question. So when I see it in my experience, here's what's happening. I when you when people have bought, like, for example, Bitcoin or Ethereum, we'll take Ethereum because that's clearly where like the NFT space was, born, I would say. Um, thousands to hundreds of thousands of millions of people bought Ethereum at such a low price and so have these huge bags of it, and they have an abundance, right? So they have so much ETH that they can use towards art, towards, whatever that NFT might be. And they want to, I think it's such a cool space where they're saying they can actually use their money, which is this magical Ethereum money, for um, like things that store value, which is art. So um, I think that's what we're seeing is an abundance of this crypto asset that is, maybe just sitting there or maybe getting some staking rewards or whatever the case may be. But now they can use it for possibly increasing their wealth even more by having this amazing asset and beautiful piece of artwork at the same time, right?
Yes,
So
yes, I see that definitely. So, what would be the benefit though to buying NFTs? I see the benefit for artists putting their work on the blockchain and having it being
sure.
sold for thousands, millions of dollars. I see that
Yeah,
benefit, but what would be the benefit for buying these NFTs and holding them?
that's a good question. I mean, so obviously, I think the first answer would be, like I said, a store of value. So if you bought like a Bored Ape, it's clearly, if you bought one a year ago and still hold it now, you're a millionaire, right? And
It's true.
so so I think that's kind of the use case right there for it, for holding it. But not only that, I feel like some of these have really cool utilities where they unlock certain things for whatever the project may be, right? So for an example, like V Friends, those Gary V Friend NFTs, they unlock certain things. Like you might be able to get
Mhm,
some time with Gary V or whatever, but you have to be a holder of his NFTs to be able to do
mhm.
that. So there's cool utilities built into them.
Yes, I see. I see what you mean there. So, if someone were to be considering getting into the space as either an artist or a collector, what would that look like?
So I would say, as an artist, uh, it, it's kind of a huge question, but I would say
This
just
is-
one, I would say one, like, just kind of dive in, meaning like, if you have some digital artwork, just go to like OpenSea and figure out how to mint something. I think that's your first step. So maybe just buy something really as an artist, just so you see what the process might be yourself, of what your customers will experience of how to buy your art. And so go to OpenSea, get some Ethereum, do your whole MetaMask thing, and I know that's a whole nother conversation. But go through that process and then mint it, and then
Yes, it's a process for sure. But what I'm hearing is that in order for you to really understand the space, it's important for you to buy your very first NFT. It could be at any price point, but just to experience this feel of buying this NFT. Gary Vee actually shares that before you go ahead and do that first and make that first investment and take that first step, it's important to do your homework. So up to 50 hours of homework in the space before taking action and purchasing that NFT. So that's something that I do want to touch on. So it's a process here, and there's a big, really large learning curve involved in diving into this space. But in order for you to really understand, do your homework, and then take that next step and purchase your first NFT, so you can know what it feels like and how that process goes. And this is before you even mint your very first NFT in terms of putting your art on the market, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. All of that, everything what you just said, I would say is a huge first step. Just like you said, to immerse yourself in. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new language. It's a new like revolution, really. And so like just getting your feet wet, like that's so important. Absolutely.
Yes, getting those feet wet, and immersing yourself in the whole NFT space as you dive into the metaverse. Like it's a process. So I really want to dive deeper into what that step-by-step process looks like. We touched a lot on the benefits of stepping into the space. I really want to dive deeper into what this process looks like for beginners to dive into the space, because I've been getting this question very often, like, how do I go about going into the space? What do I possibly mint? What do I put out in the space, and how do I go about putting it out? So I really want to dive deeper into that. As well as what you work on now in the space, combining your tech and your art background. What is it that you do now in the space? So we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Golden Sessions with doc.PEACE on KNSJ 89.1 FM radio with Mr. Jerah Cameron. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned.
Yes. That's awesome.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. Can I get water real quick?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
There's a pre-roll playing. I'll be right back too, Sam.
Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections ground me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together, we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections ground me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents to you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it.
Back. You're listening to Golden MetaSessions with doc.PEACE on KNSJ 89.1 FM. I'm doc.PEACE, and we're here with our guest, Jerah Cameron. Let's get back into it. So I would love for you to share some specific steps that new artists can take as they're beginning to get into the NFT space. Let's dive deep into this.
Yeah, that's a good segue. I would say, like we just touched about in terms of getting your feet wet. One is minting, right? Minting your first piece, I think, is probably the first step. That'll give you a really good feel for what people are going to do when they buy your art. And then once that's done, I think it's really just being creative in how to kind of upload your image and or your music or whatever the case may be for your NFT. Setting the metadata so that people can find it pretty easily, and the bots can do their thing and do the social engineering optimization and stuff. So that's probably important. And then let's see. And then there's multiple platforms you can do as well, right? You can mint on OpenSea or a variety of other options depending on what platform you go with, right?
Okay.
Or blockchain you go with.
Yes,
So.
yes, definitely. So three important things to look at here as you go into this space of putting your art on the blockchain. And I like how you mentioned this platform option of OpenSea. It's one of the biggest platforms for putting your work on the blockchain. So one thing I want to really dive deeper into is this question. How is an artist protected from copycats and fishers who are looking to see what artists are doing and download that and somehow recreate it for their own benefit? How are artists, how are NFT artists protected from this?
That's a good question. So, with our project and other projects like a generative art project, or even like verified artist, you can basically verify yourself, and meaning like within smart contracts, that's what you're doing, is verifying that you own that piece of digital artwork, right? That's the most beautiful thing with this whole thing is is verification and digital signature that you are the artist. And in fact, that, like we were talking about, the provenance stays with that piece for the history of forever, right? So that that's what's amazing. So I would say like um, uh, the uh, the copycat thing is it's an argument where I think it's people that don't really know the technology very well, because you really can't copy a digital image. You can right click and copy and then paste it, but it's not the same contract, it's not the same transaction, and so it's not on chain, and so it's not really a copy. Is the main point here. Is
Mm,
it's like a totally different ID, if you will. Like you can look at it as a unique identifier for each image. So even if it looks the same, like you right click and copy it, and you try and upload it as the same image, it's going to be completely different on the blockchain because it's a different ID basically. And so that's what really makes this whole environment work, right? This whole NFT thing work is that right there.
gold.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And another question that's coming up as well is for artists who are getting into the space, what would be the benefit from having, say, a one-on-one of their art, meaning that there's only one available
Yeah.
for each of their art pieces, or versus having, say, 100 of a particular art piece available? Can you share more on that?
Yeah,
How to choose?
sure.
How to choose?
That's that's a great question. I would say, well, here's what's really cool about this space.
Mhm.
Um, I think we're in a space where uh, kind of it doesn't matter in a sense that I think both work well for different reasons, right?
Mhm.
I think it really comes down to the artist and what the artist is trying to do, and also the artist's followers or audience that loves that artist. Maybe they only want a one of one, and that's what they love, and that becomes super rare. um, or maybe they want 100, right? So I think that particular artist, or
Mhm.
maybe even like us, we have a 3-person team. We get to decide how many we're going to put out based on whatever works for us. So
Yes.
um,
This is a good moment to shift into what it is that you do. What's your team involved in the projects you're currently working on in the space?
yeah,
Please share.
you bet. So um, in regards to NFTs, I'm working on a project called Retro Kids. It's a 3D pixelate project where we have 10,000 retro kids that are generatively created with AI, if you will. But there's over 225 hand drawn, digitally drawn characters and traits within those characters. My cousin Kid Vic, uh, you can find her on my Twitter, but she's the amazing artist behind these. Her and her boyfriend Miles are the creatives behind kind of the whole brand, if you will. And so we kind of teamed up, and I do development and kind of the coding side of things, the backend technical side of things, and then she does the design and he does the social media marketing, that kind of genius behind all that Discord stuff. And so that's that project. We actually are we're really big advocates of supporting mental health education, and our Discord is all about that, really. So we have a thriving community in our Discord where people feel safe and they can kind of be themselves and support each other and lift each other up. And so that's what we really like to do. Um, and that's kind of the premise of these kids, or they're like outcasts, and they're like the artists that are kind of the rebels of their generation, and there'll be generation series as well.
Gold,
So
gold.
yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Yes, let's dive deeper into the utility of this project. I'm very curious because in the NFT space, we're very I found that we're very cognizant and we value wellness and mental health. so very much. And so you touched on how this DistroKid project of yours is supporting mental health and wellness within the NFT community. So I would really love for you to share more on the utility. Like if I were to purchase one of your NFTs, DistroKid, what utility would I get from that other than owning a piece of beautiful work, of artwork that resembles strong mental health and wellness within the space? What other utility would I get?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So with the retro kids, we're one is, like you said, it's the rarity, right? So we'll have different rarities that go along with them. Like some will have Game Boys, and some will have like little AirPods or like headphones, and gold chains. And so these different little like accessories are going to make them rare. And then what we're also doing is really diving into like gaming and meta, and we really want to focus on that quite a bit. So there'll be a lot of utility there. But we're also going to have other additional series for different decades, right? And so having this kind of first series is going to kind of unlock future series, and then we're going to do like retro kid babies, to go along with those, and we'll do like a burning mechanism with that. So we're really just having fun and like trying to be creative in how we do it, and it's such a cool learning experience for all of us that's what it's about also, is like, let's just dive in and figure out what we love and what's passionate, and like what resonates with us, and what isn't working, what's working, and then pivoting too, like from one chain to a different chain, because that's come up quite a bit as well. So
Yes,
yeah.
gold. So it's like you can enter into the space. What I'm understanding is you can enter into the space as a solo artist, or you can enter into the space as a contributor, a team member to one of these large scale projects. And so one thing that I know that you're a part of is Cardano. Can you share more of your work with the Cardano, which is another platform similar to OpenSea? It's another platform that you can put your NFT art on.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cardano is another like blockchain, actually, that's like Ethereum. So OpenSea uses Ethereum. It's an ERC20 kind of platform, ERC 721 platform. So Cardano is actually a different blockchain. And what I do there is I project manage NFT projects, if you will, for them. And we're kind of in this new development phase of we're really trying to figure out what will be best for us in this whole new NFT space. And so it's really cool. It's an awesome job, and I'm really loving like having that creative outlet to go along with what I'm so passionate about anyway, which is crypto and NFTs and art. And so I'm really grateful and blessed to be able to do it. And it all marries really well with everything.
And that's the beauty that I'm seeing in the NFT community. Like you can have the tech guys and the artists and the developers and the marketers and whoever is in the space all coming together and working together, partying together, being together, appreciating each other's energies and what they bring to the table. And it's just such a beautiful mesh of all these different skill sets and gifts. It's
beautiful. Exactly what it is.
Definitely. Yes, I love it. So I'm curious, what is something that you wish you knew when you first started?
Oh, wow. I think I wish I wouldn't have jumped full force in, right? And like, I wish I would have just kind of immersed myself in education first, instead of like taking money I didn't want to lose and buying like a bunch of shitty NFTs, or like a bunch of shitty tokens or crypto, not knowing what I was going to buy. Instead, like educating myself first of like what a good store of value is, what a good utility is, what good projects are, what good teams are, what good artists are, and then like actually, and then like spending a little bit of money here and there just to get my feet wet. So I think I'd go a little bit slower and take my time making those decisions.
Yes. And as we wrap up, I got to touch on this. What is it that you look for to identify what a good project is or a good investment is in the NFT space?
That's a really good one. I think one really good thing is something that really resonates with you and like touches you. In the art world, just the same. Like if it's a digital piece of art, if you actually like visualize it and it touches you, like it wows you and it tells you a story, or you connect with it emotionally, that's what I would say look for. If it's a project, though, if it's like a PFP project or whatever, I would say really look at utility. What are they doing? Like, how is it going to like hold its value and increase in value? And really look at what the team is doing too. And like, are there other people doing the same thing, or what the competition might be like? So there's a lot of things to look at, but I think the number
Yes.
one is what we just touched on.
Yes, I see that there's three different things here. There's that soul alignment. There's the liability versus asset.
Yep.
And then there's the community aspect of it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, I would love for you to share how we can connect with you further, get involved and support your projects.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So my Twitter is at Jerah ETH, JerahETH, Jerah ETH. And then my project, the Retro Kids project, is at Retro Kids, RetroKydz. So just Retro Kids. And there's a link on my personal one as well. But and then there's a link to Discord as well, which is an amazing community. Like, we're just having a really cool time building a cool foundation of amazing people and artists. So yeah.
Love it. Love it. Definitely.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. You're welcome.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
joining us today,
Appreciate it.
for sharing with us this
Yeah.
light
It's
and
my
this
honor.
insight.
Thank you. It's my honor. I appreciate it.
You're so very welcome. You're listening to Golden MetaSessions with doc.PEACE on KNSJ 89.1 FM radio. That concludes today's session with Mr. Jerah Cameron. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you got that dose of inspiration that you were welcoming. And as always, reminding you that it is you who ultimately chooses to consciously express and to be gold, a genuine, original, loving dreamer. So boldly step into the metaverse, because it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. I'm doc.PEACE. Stay golden.
Peace.
Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections drown me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections round me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents to you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections round me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents to you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying